Doing well. Doing well. Can't complain. Working on some cool stuff over here. Yeah. How about you?
Feeling good. Recently ordered a few Ledger Nano F, actually. F Plus. Upgrading my own security. Uh, uh, I really like these. I had the old ones. Can't remember exactly what they were called. But just ordered these and just set them up lately. So many scams, right? So many scams going on in the crypto space. Need to be extra careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to keep your keys offline. Then there's also that new Ledger update, which apparently can share your key. So I don't know if you'll ever really be safe in the crypto streets, which is something we might actually talk on today a little bit.
Yeah, I think I saw somebody clear that up. I think even they cleared that up. Hopefully it is cleared up and they cannot steal our keys, even offline.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something. It was like you had to opt into it as a security service. Um, But we'll see, because then there's also like, how do you protect yourself if you lose your private keys or if something happens and you need to pass on your crypto? So it's hard to find the perfect solution.
Yeah. Yeah, there are ways to keep it extra safe. Yeah, there's stuff you can do. Of course, it does come at the cost of convenience, but if you want to keep it safe, there are solutions to do it. Even with multi-sigs, right? You can have a lot of security there if you have multiple uh, ledgers controlling the multi-sig. Yeah, there's a lot of things to do, but everybody should keep in mind security. Too many scams going on in
Yeah,
the crypto space. Be careful.
definitely.
Just a few moments for our speaker. I think there's some trouble joining up. We're going to be starting soon. Apologize for the delay, guys. Yeah, I'm really sad. There's so many issues with Discord lately. It's either the microphone issues or right now our guest is having trouble raising his hand. Oh, okay. Great. We've invited Federico. Federico, how are you? Can you hear me?
Hello. Hey, Arton. Yes, I can hear you. How's it going?
Going great, Federico. Glad to have you here. Okay, let me just go through some important stuff and we can start our AMA. So, welcome back, everybody, to our weekly AMA. We do have Phemex today, and we have the CEO of Phemex with us, Federico. He's going to be sharing some insights on what Phemex is currently working on to achieve their goals in the space. We're also going to talk about a little bit about the recent Curve incident, which should be interesting to gauge his perspective on it. But before we do start the AMA, like always, we do have a Galaxy campaign for this. We have an Oat campaign for our listeners. So the requirements for this one are, of course, to listen in for at least 15 minutes. But also, we did outline this in our announcement. You have to register your Phemex account and also fill out the form and provide your UID. So you'll find the guide to do that in the Galaxy campaign itself. So make sure you check that out when you do. Okay, I think we can start now. Federico, I can hear some background noise from your end. Not sure exactly what that is. But yeah, let's start with introductions, of course. So Federico, could you give us a quick intro about yourself and also a little bit about your background in crypto?
Yes. Can you hear me clearly now? Because I'm not in a loud
Yeah,
place.
all good,
So,
all good.
So hey, my name is Federico. I'm the CEO of Phemex. We're a centralized exchange currently in the process of decentralizing the platform. I've been involved in crypto since fairly recently, so we launched the platform in 2019. I have previously known the co-founder of the platform. They previously co-founded Bybit, so I've been in crypto for a while. Right now, we are looking at making the exchange more decentralized, involving our partners and our users into building a kind of new approach, like a novel approach in both sharing the revenue and the ownership of the exchange. We see a lot of people are excited to get involved, so we want to make people, let's say, part of our journey. We've been operating as a centralized exchange for almost 4 years now, so we think it's time to share the growth and also the revenue and the duties with all our long-term partners and users.
Got it. Very interesting to learn what you guys are planning to do by decentralizing it. So before we do move on, we also have, as always, we have Harrison, our senior BD manager for Space ID. And Harrison, while everybody does know you here, maybe you could also give a quick back info about your background in crypto. I think our audience would like to know you better as well.
Yeah, for sure. So like you said, I'm a BD manager here at Space ID. I lead a lot of partnerships, some strategy, helping with new product launches, and building out the ecosystem as a whole. I've been in the crypto space since around 2016, end of 2016, when I was first introduced to Ethereum. Thought it was really interesting, the concept of decentralized immutable ownership, especially in regards to gaming, obviously DeFi, but being able to have ownership and stake in the applications that you're using really appealed to me. So, started with a background in accounting. That's why I graduated with my degree in accounting. Worked for a crypto-based hedge fund for a few years, and then I moved more to the strategy, content creation, and biz dev side of things. For this, I was the first employee at NF Trade, a multi-chain NFT marketplace doing BD and strategy, and now building out the Space ID ecosystem.
Okay, we have lost Federico. Let me try to get Federico back. Glad to hear more from you, Harrison. I think while everybody doesn't know you here, they do not know your full background, right? So exciting to hear what you have been doing in the past. So thank you for that. Just a moment for us to get Federico back. Yeah, seems we are having our speaker is having some trouble reconnecting. Harrison, there's a lot we've been doing from the Space ID side. Let's while we wait for Federico to get back. 3.0, right? We've recently announced this, and we are going to be providing even more details on it shortly. I think for 3.0, there's still kind of a concept that may not be fully yet grasped, right? So, can you give a kind of a deeper overview of Space ID 3.0 and what's the mission here in the near future?
Yeah, for sure. So 3.0 is a massive update for us because it revolves around our domain name toolkit. This is going to be a permissionless platform where any game, exchange, brand, application, or really any community can launch a native domain name service without any of the intensive coding or partners that are needed in the past. So this benefits the Space ID community in a lot of ways, especially as SocialFi and GameFi projects launch, and they want customized name services to fit with their brand. They're going to have to stake ID tokens as well as pay a portion back to our community, which will be via our DAO, as a decentralized ecosystem. So as we continue to grow out and add new domains, and add new domain name services, it's going to continuously bring value to ID holders and to our DAO contributors. So really, it's just going to push the Web3 identity ecosystem further, and then they'll also be able to integrate into our active partners, and just elevate the space as a whole. So really exciting. We're already working with some big partners in the background to prepare their domain name service launch. And once we launch the toolkit to everyone, we're excited to see who else starts building.
Thank you, Harrison. Federico, glad to have you back. Just making sure you can hear me and if we can hear you.
Yes, thank you guys. Sorry for the delay. Just changing devices.
No worries, no worries. All good now. So I did have a question for you. So let's. I want to get to know Phemex a bit deeper. I think it's kind of interesting for our audience to know what you guys are really planning with this decentralization part. So first of all, could you give a quick overview regarding Phemex itself? A little bit more in
Yes.
depth, and also what kind of updates you guys are having in this near future.
Yes, we started off as a futures exchange, mostly it's still our primary product. Over the course of the past years, we've seen the rise of DeFi and other projects, NFT projects. And we realized that one of the strongest tools of DeFi is the ability of bringing a community together through the token, for example. So we wanted to build a token for our users that made it so that they could share, let's say, the growth of the exchange with us, and we see it's a great tool in order to build a strong and long-term user base. So right now we are in the process of allowing our users to mine these exchange tokens via their trading fees, and our partners to mine the tokens as well with their trading commissions. And these tokens will work similarly to the curve model. If you're familiar, we'll talk about it later, I guess. So basically, by staking the token, you earn part of the revenue of the exchange through buybacks, which means that the more the exchange is successful, the more people can join the rewards from the exchange, similarly to what happens with stocks and dividends. And we feel that as exchanges become more competitive and they kind of have similar products, we wanted to build something to stand out and make sure that our users feel rewarded to use the exchange as much as we are happy to have them on, basically.
Awesome, thank you, Federico. Really interested to go deeper into that with the further questions we have, but I do have a kind of a different question now. So Harrison right now just explained an overview of the Space ID 3.0, a recent update we have talked about. We're going to be launching soon, basically a toolkit for communities to launch their own TLDs, their own domain names without any development requirement, right? So that's going to be possible on Space ID 3.0. So wanted to gauge your mind here a little bit. Does Phemex consider offering decentralized domains for Phemex users, and how could Space ID create new opportunities for Phemex in this area?
Yes, I believe that one of the best features of crypto is being part of a community. So people from all around the world can join different affiliations, maybe by NFTs or trading with other people on Discord or following a certain YouTuber or whatnot. So people feel the communities a lot in our space. And I think that having like a personalized domain make it very easy and recognizable to show that you are part of this specific community. So for example, you can imagine maybe Bored Apes might have their own withdrawal domain, and the same thing could go for the followers of a certain YouTuber or the members of a certain Discord or the users of a certain exchange. So I think it's a very cool feature that kind of fits in the overall theme of using crypto as a part of your digital identity, right? So I do think it's a very interesting project, and I think it's going to be very successful since we see crypto is one of the best tools to build communities. So I think it's going to be very successful.
Awesome. Maybe in the future we'll also have a Phemex TLD, so maybe you guys will also
Yeah,
be
for sure, for sure.
glad to hear that. So let's get back to the topic. Let's talk about Phemex. So you guys are on the way of exploring this convergence of centralized and decentralized finance. So could you give us a little bit more details on how you're guys planning to achieve this goal, and what features and what pros does Phemex have or will have that will make you guys stand out from other crypto exchanges, and maybe making you even the most efficient exchange?
Yes. What we experienced over the past few years is that there seems to be like different types of users of exchanges and crypto in general. So, for example, a lot of our users are not very familiar with DeFi products. They love trading. They enjoy the volatility of the market, but they're not familiar with MetaMask. They're not familiar with borrowing, lending. So, what we wanted to build is some sort of DeFi stack that could be easily learned by people that are not that familiar with DeFi protocols. And by starting from a centralized exchanges, it's easier for them to essentially learn step by step rather than starting, for example, from downloading MetaMask and then learning to use different dApps. You have everything. You have everything in one place, which is our exchange, and everything rotates around the token. But you don't need to learn the steps before to enjoy these products, right? At the same time, you will see that there are benefits from learning these separate tools, and it will be beneficial for you to explore the markets comprehensively. So our approach essentially will try to be as comprehensive as possible in regard to the tools that we are offering. All these tools will rotate around our native token, and the users will see that there is growth potential. I see that maybe DeFi have let down a lot of users because bad tokenomics and hacks and all that. We want to offer like a safe and strong alternative that is going to like introduce them to DeFi starting from a centralized platform.
Very interesting. Talking about your own token, which actually we do have a price pool right now for our audience who didn't know. There is a 100 XBT token plus 200 USDT token price pool for the raffle for oath holders. So talking about XBT, I think our community might be curious about what it is. Maybe you could give us a bit more details about the benefits of holding it as well.
Yes. So most exchange tokens don't do much. If you're familiar with other exchanges, like most of them just give fees reductions, so they don't provide any sort of real utility. I would say the best exchange token is probably Binance, but they took the route of building a whole ecosystem on BNB, so that's not feasible for a smaller exchange like ours. What we could do, we could borrow some ideas from successful DeFi protocols, right? Like Curve, GMX. These protocols have been very successful in building like a strong user base, and they have a product that people actually use, right? They don't need the token for people to use their product. The users enjoy the product themselves. So our token is born with the same idea. Basically, we want our native users to, through this token, earn part of the revenue of the exchange through daily buybacks by holding and staking the token. At the same time, the tokens offer the same functionalities as all the other exchange tokens. So reduced fees, access to Launchpad and Launchpool and all that. And on top of that, it gives you access to revenue sharing and governance, like a shared governance in terms of the decision making of the exchange, which could be new listings or moving the liquidity to certain pairs or increasing leverage, all these kind of things. We want at some point to be decided entirely by a DAO made by token holders.
Interesting, thank you. Let's dive into a very interesting topic, an incident which happened recently with Curve. First of all, Federico, why has the CRV incident generated such extensive discussion, and what could be the reasons from your perspective behind this incident?
Curve is for sure a cornerstone, not only of DeFi, but of crypto in general. It's perhaps the most successful and fully adopted protocol in crypto. So naturally, any hack of Curve or any issue with Curve will create like waves through the whole space. Also, we have to keep in mind that Curve also is used as some sort of barometer for the health of stable coins, right? People look at the tree pool to see which stable coins are safe, which have more volatility. So there is a lot of eyes on Curve, and every time something happens to Curve, people will take notice and they might exaggerate a little bit with their reaction. At the same time, we know that DeFi protocols are often built on top of each other. So when there is a potential big sell-off of one specific token, it will have repercussions on other protocols. There's potentially bad debt and all that. So of course, the token hack, the Curve hack was very concerning. It seems that they were able to backstop through OTC deals the risk that it was coming towards the whole DeFi space. But I think we are still not out of the woods yet. So I hope there's going to be some good news in the near future, so that users will feel more reassured to keep using these protocols.
For sure, yeah, like you did say, it caused a lot of reactions, maybe a lot of irrational reactions. And Harrison, also on this topic, what do you think? Why do you think this incident created such an extensive discussion? And what's the reason from your perspective? What kind of thoughts do you have about it?
Yeah, sure. I think Federico was definitely on point. Curve is one of the cornerstones of the DeFi and crypto space. It's an open source project with this is super essential, for blockchain based applications, and kind of leading the way in terms of what's possible. And for an exploit to take place on an application of that size, makes everyone reevaluate where their funds are distributed, how safe these are. And it wasn't even an exploit directly within the contracts. It was within their underlying coding base. So it's something that maybe was even a little bit outside of their abilities to directly control, which goes to show how important it is for everyone, whether they're an application or an end user, to take their security seriously and understand that even if something is open source, doesn't mean it's fully infallible. And that's a big lesson that we all need to be clear of.
Yeah, definitely. And uh, it did garner definitely significant attention, right? A lot of major cryptocurrencies are linked to CRV, and some prominent lending protocols in the industry are closely associated with CRV, right? So definitely a very interesting happening here. And talking about security, um, with the increasing number of these hacking incidents generally in the cryptocurrency space, Federico, from Phemex's perspective, how do you safeguard against this? How do you protect yourself and your users from these potential security breaches?
Yeah, for us, probably the most sensitive aspect of our business is the cold wallet, right? So we keep the majority of the funds in cold storage, only the minimum amount possible in hot wallets. So we are sure that basically the vast majority of the funds are safe at all times, and the hot wallet is also manually reviewed for all transfers. So we make sure that the users' funds are as safe as possible. Of course, there is also an aspect of the users themselves, right? They tend to make mistakes. Sometimes they get hacked themselves. They click the wrong link or something. So I try to be as, let's say, strict as possible with blocking an account as soon as something is let's say looks suspect, right? We ask a little bit more information if there is like a new withdrawal address. So we always try to, let's say, guide the users in what they're doing to make sure that actually is the right person behind the screen. And we try to be, let's say, as comprehensive as possible in imagining what possible ways people are engaging in order to steal this information. And so far, we've been very successful. We haven't suffered any hacks in our history. Our cold wallets and hot wallet system works still very fast despite these extra security steps. So I think these have been so far our most important goals, and we've achieved them so far.
Interesting, thank you. Going back to the Curve incident, right? So after something like this does happen, it causes a lot of bad attention, a lot of confusion and doubts in the space itself, and even we did see some people even saying the DeFi may be dead, right? So talking about the future, how does this impact the future, and whether if users do say that DeFi may be dead, how do you respond to this, and how do you see the future after this incident? Federico, starting with you.
Yeah, I think that might be a little exaggerated. I think people tend to be very reactionary when these things happen. They might be disappointed in these things that keep happening. I did enjoy seeing the support that the Curve team received in terms of like both technically and with the OTC acquisition of tokens from other players in the space. So I do think that the industry will continue surviving, and I'm confident that DeFi is doing well for the most part, even if the tokens sometimes look not as good. I would say that the protocols themselves are still performing quite well. And if we take the exception of a few that have been hacked, I think for the most part, the main actors like Avi and all that, I think they're performing well in the past. It's been surprising and disappointing to see what happened with Curve, but the response has been positive, so I think they will grow past this.
Got it. Thanks, Federico. And Harrison, what do you think? Do you think it's? Do you also think it's an exaggeration? Did we see the reaction from the community?
I don't know if it was necessarily an exaggeration to see, to react to an exploit in one of the biggest DeFi protocols, but we're far from DeFi being dead. Especially a lot of the funds were, returned to CRV, which was good, from behalf of white hat hackers working towards, helping the industry as a whole. It's a major incident that shouldn't be taken lightly, but we also don't need to pretend like it's the apocalypse. It was patched quickly. These newer applications can have bugs sometimes or can have missed aspects that doesn't necessarily mean the entire industry will fail. So it's something to stay wary of, but not necessarily something that's going to have a long-term impact on the industry.
Got it. Thanks to you both for your opinions regarding this matter. I do personally think everything, as always, these incidents do happen, but of course everybody learns from it. I think we end up better, and they do die down, and we see the natural good sentiment coming back either way, and there's a lot of track record for that as well. We had a lot of stuff happening before, which a lot of users have already forgotten about, which may be the case with the Curve incident as well. Let's talk about a very broad topic. Federico, starting with you. So, what kind of general thoughts do you have about the blockchain industry and Web3 in general? Are you personally satisfied with growth that with Web3 is seeing? Any positive thoughts towards the future? Any negative thoughts towards the future? What's your outlook and your perspective for crypto in general, looking towards the future?
My outlook remain cautiously positive, let's say. I see some new narratives emerging finally, which I took as a sign of a, let's say, better market coming when I was looking at the market around 18, 12 months ago. So I do think we're seeing some new narratives, might be Telegram bots, gambling tokens, semi-decentralized exchanges like ours. So I do think that these new narratives and others, like other approaches to NFTs and digital identities, will potentially lead the way in the next bull run. So until you see new things in the market, it's hard to imagine the market going crazy as it did in the last couple of years. So I'm happy to see some new things coming to the markets, and I think it's a good sign. So generally, I remain optimistic.
Awesome. And let me follow up with a quick question after that. Do you see the market turning around anytime soon, or are you personally still feel like we're in this transitionary phase where everything is will still stay silent for a year or two?
I think summer is usually slow, so I wasn't expecting too much happening for this month. I think maybe in October, December, we might see another rally, unless there is some cataclysmic event in the market. I do think that the years to look at is the election year, so 2024. So I think that's when the market is going to be far more interesting than it is now.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thanks, Federico. Harrison, what do you think? What's your outlook? What's your expectation for the future?
Yeah, I mean, long term, I'm bullish on the entire crypto and DeFi space. Short term, I think there needs to be some sort of catalyst that will push people back to get interested. I think NFTs were a major turning point in the crypto space. In 2021. Before that, we had ICOs in 2017, 2018. So there needs to be something that excites a new swath of users to come in, whether that's a Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF, new applications, the launch of a successful game. There's many ways it can go, but I think long term the infrastructure is being built out. The products have a lot of value that they can deliver to end users. It just kind of depends on who's going to be able to distribute that value in an easy to utilize way for this new incoming batch of users. So it might take a little bit of time, but I have a lot of hope for what's being built out in this space.
Thank you, Harrison, for your thoughts as well. Let's talk about the product. Let's talk about Phemex. Let's talk about Space ID. Starting with you, Federico. Can you share with us any new things you guys have currently released, or whatever you guys have in the pipeline that maybe you have for the remainder of this year? I think our audience would be very interested to learn what they can find on your platform and what you guys are currently working on and may release soon. I'm not sure if you can discuss about it, but anything you can discuss.
Sure. Yes. So currently, our main product that our users are enjoying the most is the token mining. So users can, through trading, generate these tokens, which will be open in the market as soon as we do TGE, which should be at the end of this quarter. So anyone that is trading actively might be worth checking out the exchange. See if you want to allocate some volume to our exchange, you can mine some token and gain ownership in the exchange according to the volume you generate. And then, yeah, like I said, we have TG incoming. We will also do some airdrops and distribution for the tokens. We both have been active in other DeFi protocols and exchanges. So these have been the features that have been most enjoyed by our users recently. And I hope a lot of people will tune in for when we do TG at the end of the quarter. I'm confident that our token will do well, especially since the market is looking ready for more upside.
Thanks, Federico. Very interested to see what you guys have planned and what you guys will achieve later in this year and beyond as well. Harrison, for Space ID, anything you'd like to discuss regarding what we have been working on and what we have in the pipeline?
Yeah, so we're getting ready for the SAY mainnet launch. Our SAY community is exploding, doing really well, and we're going to continue towards that for pre-registration and registration. We also recently announced our Injective domain names. Injective will be using our infrastructure to build out their ING domain name service, so that'll be really exciting. The toolkit's getting ready to be released, so we'll start seeing some of those first partners utilizing that. And yeah, building a lot of really cool stuff and building out a lot of really cool partnerships with the goal of driving value back to our domain name users and our token holders. So lots of exciting stuff coming, and we'll continue to release that information as it's available.
Thank you, Harrison, and thanks, Federico, as well, for joining us today, for having this very interesting discussion with us. For our community members who are listening, as I said before, we do have an O campaign for this, but there is another requirement to actually register your Phemex account and fill out the form. Just to let everybody know who's listening, who will try to claim the oath right after the call, you have to wait for the credential to be updated, which is going to be done by the Phemex team. I did get information that it's going to be done every 2 or 3 days, or even less. I did see some users are already claimed, so keep that in mind. And we do have a 100 XPT and 200 USDT raffle for the oath holders as well. So if you claim, you will be enrolled into that and may win some exciting prizes. And with that point, thanks to Federico, thanks to Harrison. Federico, any last thoughts you'd like to share with our audience here before we do end off?
Thank you for the time, guys. It's been great. Thank you, Arton. Thank you, Harrison. Very, very interesting thoughts. It's been great. So thanks again for having me.
Thanks, Federico. Glad having you here. And Harrison, any ending thoughts from your end?
Yeah, same here. Thanks, Artem, for hosting. Enjoyed speaking with Federico and looking forward to what we can do with Phemex and other partners moving forward.
Awesome, and hopefully we'll see Phemex creating their TLD for their own community as well. maybe that's a possibility in the future. Awesome. Glad having you guys here. Thanks to our audience who listen, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.